This is Guatemala, the most populous country in Central America. But behind the picturesque mountain landscape lies a terrible problem. Even after the Civil War ended in 1996, Guatemala continues to have one of the highest poverty levels in the world. About 54% of the country's population lives below the poverty line. When most people look at Guatemala, they see the poverty. But when Impact Ministries looks at Guatemala, they see the possibility. In 2000, the International Ministry made its base in Tactique, Guatemala. Impact Ministry brings teams over from Canada and the United States to Tactique to give them a taste of what life is like beyond their front door. My team was one of them. 15 members from the First Baptist Church Youth Group in Charlottetown spent a year planning for this trip. But nothing could prepare ourselves for what we were going to see when we touched down in Guatemala.
I got out of the airport, the breeze hit me. Yeah. It was really nice.
Yes, I felt very welcomed.
It's a beautiful country, and like that goes past just beautiful mountains and stuff. The people here are a lot more hospitable than I would have expected. The people here are very kind, and the country is beautiful. I was expecting kindness, and I was expecting it to be a magnificent country, but it just rose way above my expectations.
Education is significantly underfunded in Guatemala. Guatemala has the lowest literacy rate in Central America, and nearly 50% of the population is illiterate. Only 3 out of 10 children graduate from the 6th grade. Education is free in the country, but many families can't afford the books, supplies, or uniforms that the schools require. Glenda's family is one of them.
I want to go to school, but we don't have any money.
Les and Rita Peters, the directors of Impact Ministry Guatemala, came to Tactique with the dream of building 3 schools. 15 years later, they have surpassed their goal and built 6 school buildings. Through generous donations, over 1,500 children have access to an education, 1 meal a day, and health care at the school's medical clinics. Impact feeds the school children through its state-of-the-art greenhouse and irrigation system. The greenhouse not only provides 8,000 meals a week, but it employs dozens of Guatemalan people. Minor, one of the Impact school board members, said the most important part of the ministry isn't to build school buildings, but to introduce the children to Jesus Christ. Every morning the children spend an hour doing worship and Bible lessons. Then, when the children go home, they transform their homes of alcoholics and abuse into love and kindness.
For us, it's a blessing to be able to work with them here. Because God makes changes in their lives. And I've seen it. During the 5 years that I've been working here, I've seen great things.
Our team spent several days at the Impact Ministry School in Chia Corral. We did crafts with the kids, put on puppet shows, and played games with them. Those 3 days were the highlight of the trip for many of us, including my sister Christina.
They're so loving towards you even though they don't really know you, and it's so easy to love them back. Like, I've never experienced this love for anybody this quickly.
Our group also visited the regional hospital in Coban. People travel for hours to get to the hospital, and medicine can cost up to a week's wages. We visited the sick children to comfort them and pray for them. We also visited the abandoned babies in the natal ward. Parents abandoning their children in the hospital is very common in Guatemala. Our whole team was deeply impacted by the experience.
It was touching. It's you go to North America and people are wait for 3 hours, and they get fine and they get medicine, which is provided. Just someone's been waiting for 10 days maybe, and they still don't know what's going on with them. They can't speak the same language.
Some of us were even heartbroken by what we saw.
It was very sad seeing people, moms losing their children and the abandoned children.
During our trip, we were immersed in the country's culture. Our team prepared authentic Guatemalan cuisine and did some grocery shopping in the local market. Another aspect of the culture we saw was the religion. The country's dominant religion is Roman Catholicism, but over the years they've combined elements of Mayan religion from the indigenous people that make up 50% of the population. Witchcraft is common in Guatemala, and our team visited the Jicoy Cave, a place well known for its witchcraft.
It was really creepy and dark and cold and dirty and eerie, and it gave me the willies. I don't know, I think we had to experience that in order to get the full picture of how great God is.
This wasn't the first visit to Guatemala for some people on our team. Sarah McPhee went to Tactique a few years ago with an Impact team. She's noticed a lot of changes when she returned.
Everything is developing, so the last time I was down here, for instance, there's a new school since I've been down last time. There's a new facilities for the teams to stay in. There's a big, huge greenhouse where they grow all the food that they make for all of the schools, about 7,000 meals a week. And yeah, there's just a lot more developments. There's a lot more kids going to schools.
Larry and Val Schmidt have been working with Impact Ministries as team leaders since 2002. They enjoy working with the teams that come to Tactique.
When they first arrive, they're usually they're holding back, and then by the time they're leaving, they're far more open, and they're usually realizing what God is doing in their hearts, and so we really enjoy that part of working with the team.
And you know, for the most part, a lot of people feel a piece of their heart is being left here because they're sad when they leave.
Graham and Joanne Larson were our team leaders. This was their 13th time in Guatemala, and they enjoyed getting to know the kids from First Baptist.
You responded very well in the preparation stages, but also to the activities and events in the country as a whole, with open hearts that we really appreciate, sharing those hearts, sharing your experiences, willing to talk through them.
Adapted very well to the in-country experience, and we see God working in them, and I believe changing their lives for the rest of their lives. My son once said, it's not so much what you do when you're in the country or what you do preparing to come to the country, it's what God plants in your heart that's going to make a change for the rest of your life.
Bye, Guatemala. Our mission trip may be over, but the mission is just beginning. Our mission is to share the experiences that changed our lives forever. Now when we look at Guatemala, we no longer see the poverty, we see the possibility.